Good afternoon, it's Barry. I believe we all need a good way to tune out distractions. I want to follow up to the video that I did yesterday from Ferguson Books in Grand Forks because I did go out of there with 2 books. And something I did today was spend about 2 hours, about 1 hour on one book and then 1 hour on a different book. And what I did that's a little different was about studying as you read, and a different way to be very, very deliberate about what to do about, interesting quotes or something that I want to take from the book and maybe spread out as some kind of message to the world. So let me first show you the books that I got. If this thing is going to let me switch the camera, please. Okay, here we go. All right. First book, I've actually had this on my Google Calendar as a reminder to read for I actually don't know how many months. And so I was very pleasantly surprised to find it on the shelf at the bookstore yesterday. So I'll read it out loud, even though you can clearly read it. It's called Good to Great by Jim Collins. And it's a book that's backed by research. It's not just somebody's opinion on leadership, and the topic is leadership. And, well, that's actually one part of the book. That's what I was studying today. Anyway, so there's that book. This other book is, I thought this was really timely to find this. If you somehow are not aware, Stephen Hawking just passed away unexpectedly recently. So I really wasn't even intending to get, a nonfiction book of this nature, but had to get it. Haven't started reading this one yet. So I was working on getting into Good to Great this morning, and this other book, Sound Reproduction, the Acoustics and Psychoacoustics of Loudspeakers in Rooms. Now, I had the previous edition to this, and this edition has been greatly reworked. And so I was really looking forward to getting into this book. If you haven't seen my post from earlier today, I do intend to look at this almost as like a textbook to study very deliberately, and it's going to spawn all kinds of content from articles to probably videos, posting quotes. I'm going to use this to work on my personal primary field of interest. So, how to study a book. One thing is to be very deliberate and schedule your reading time. I know if you got kids around the house, loud environment, things like that, it might be your own personal struggle for how to focus on your book, but you should do that. Don't have your phone next to you, buzzing or beeping all the time with notifications. You want to be very deliberate about protecting your reading time, consider it sacred. And for taking quotes and things like that for later use, the tip I got was to use a code and write in the margins. So I wrote FR here. That for me, that code word or the code letters means future reading, and it was for this one. It was to go off of this reference. This is a book by Meyer, published in 2009, and so you have your sacred reading time. You write your little code in the margin. and when your timer's up for your reading, you go back through those pages that you read in that session, and you also need to be taking notes. I do prefer to use a pen and a paper, and I take notes and log it in a database that, in this case, I can get it on my phones. It's synced to a cloud, so it's always available, even if I switch phones, and I have two phones with the same note database. So anyway, that's what works for me. So I also make note of the important stuff out of the reading session. And if it's got the letter A, that means I intend to write an article. Another facet of this plan for how to study a book more effectively is, if you're going to do something like write an article or future reading, you got to go grab some other material to study, put it in your calendar. So that's why I mentioned earlier about Google Calendar. That's what I like to use. So actually, that reminds me, I did not schedule all these things here yet. So I need to schedule when I'm going to write these articles, when I'm going to grab this article or this book, and be very deliberate about when I'm going to do this extra studying or creating content. So, Jess, Shane, do you have questions for me right now before I get off this machine? You got 5 seconds to type something. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, leave a comment. See ya.